The Blackridge Penitentiary stood on the outskirts of town, an ominous structure shrouded in fog and legend. Built over a century ago, it housed the worst of the worst, murderers, thieves, and those society had long since abandoned. But hidden within its walls was something far more terrifying than the prisoners, a cell that had been sealed for decades, forgotten by most, yet feared by all who had heard the whispers. Jack Warren, convicted of armed robbery, was the newest inmate to arrive. As the heavy iron gates slammed shut behind him, he felt the weight of a lifetime's punishment settle on his shoulders. The warden, a grizzled man named Carter, eyed him with a knowing smirk. "Welcome to Blackridge," Carter said. "Hope you enjoy your stay." Jack was led to his cell, number 24, but his eyes drifted down the long corridor to where the shadows seemed thicker, where an eerie silence hung in the air. At the end of that hallway was a cell marked with deep scratches, barely visible through the layers of dust and time. It had no number. "You don't want to go near that one," muttered his cellmate, an old-timer named Red. "Nobody stays there long." Chapter 2: The Whispers. The nights in Blackridge were long and filled with distant screams. But Jack soon realized something was different about his new home. Every night, when the prison quieted, he heard whispers, faint voices, unintelligible yet persistent. At first, he dismissed them as the delusions of a guilty mind, but the more he listened, the clearer they became. "Let us out, pleasey, we don't belong here." One night, unable to resist his curiosity, Jack crept out of his bunk and moved toward the forgotten cell. The corridor felt colder the closer he got, and with each step, the whispers grew louder. He reached out to touch the iron bars, and the moment his fingers brushed against them, the whispers stopped. Then, a hand shot out from the darkness within, grabbing his wrist. Chapter 3: The Forgotten Ones. Jack yanked his arm back with a strangled cry. The hand was gone, but the feeling of ice-cold fingers remained. Red was waiting for him when he stumbled back into their cell. "You saw them, didn't you?" Red asked grimly. Jack hesitated, then nodded. Red sighed. "That cell used to be for the worst of them, a long time ago, before they shut it down. Thing is, one night, every prisoner inside just vanished. Guards never found bodies, never found nothing, so they sealed it up. Flight 713 was scheduled for a routine overnight journey across the Atlantic. The passengers, unaware of the horrors awaiting them, settled into their seats as the plane taxied down the runway. The captain's voice crackled through the intercom, calm and reassuring. But beneath the professional facade, the crew sensed something was off. The weather report had been clear, yet dark storm clouds loomed ahead, appearing almost out of nowhere. As the aircraft lifted off, a shiver ran down the spines of those sensitive to the unnatural. Something was wrong. Chapter 2: The Omen. Midway through the flight, the turbulence began. At first, it was mild, an occasional shudder. But soon, the plane lurched violently, sending drinks and passengers tumbling. The lights flickered. A shadow moved outside the window, but at 30,000 feet, that was impossible. A woman in seat 17, an elderly traveler with piercing gray eyes, whispered in fear, "They are here. We were never supposed to leave." Her words sent a chill through the nearby passengers. Then, the screams began. Chapter 3: The Descent. A deafening shook echoed through the cabin, but no one could locate its source. Oxygen masks dropped as the plane jerked downward, spiraling toward the dark ocean below. The pilots struggled with controls, but it was as if the plane itself had been possessed. Then, a hand, charred and skeletal, emerged from the cockpit door. The co-pilot gasped, backing away, but there was nowhere to run. The cabin erupted into chaos as the temperature dropped, frost forming along the windows and overhead compartments. The screams of the passengers mixed with guttural, inhuman laughter. The plane crashed into the water with a sickening force, yet for a moment there was silence. Then the whispers began. Survivors gasped for air emerging from the wreckage, floating in the dark, endless ocean. But something was wrong. The sky was pitch black, devoid of stars, and the water beneath them was unnaturally still. They weren't in their world anymore. Figures rose from the ocean, their eyes hollow, their bodies grotesquely twisted. The woman from seat 17 smiled grimly. "We are theirs now." The forgotten flight days passed, or maybe years. The wreckage remained, but no rescue came. The survivors, one by one, disappeared beneath the black water, pulled down by unseen hands. The world forgot flight 713, but every now and then, sailors whispered of a ghostly aircraft seen hovering over the waves.